So, as you can see, if this is your first time on my channel, which for many it isn't, heck, probably 5 kilobytes per second, so we're okay. Sorry, I'm just going over to the streaming. So if this is your first time joining my channel, you might see that I go by Gwyd, or Gwyd1. You might also say Gwydion, the longer version. As you can see here, I am playing, streaming with Phantasy Star 3 Generations of Doom. Game from my childhood, I kind of like it. So, what I'm doing here is experimenting a little with a particular idea. Some people probably having tuned into my other things have heard it before. You know, if you don't like that, I apologize, and just repeating it for people who don't know. And that is not just playing the games, and I can be funny, but at the same time talking science. So if people want, like, tutoring, they can tune in, and I will tutor them if they're interested, and talk science, mostly, and mathematics too. It's mostly going to be chemistry, I guess. That's what I do professionally, and I find that sometimes the repetition and going over even simple concepts repeatedly can really help people a lot in terms of their learning capacity. It may sound strange, but it really does, and having a little distraction like the game can even help them, especially something like a relatively easy RPG. So you'll probably notice a lot of RPGs, stuff like Phantasy Star, Final Fantasy, there's a Dragon Warrior. Oh, that's not all that easy. Probably at some point I will go to World of Warcraft. It's a particular favorite of mine from some time ago, and it's something for which you can do a lot of grinding. And that's good for when you want to talk about them. Grinding and repetition is good for things like that. So, like I said, I'm going to probably start talking about chemistry. So, here goes. Well, actually, I'm going to talk about science in general. One of the things you got to learn about science is that it doesn't give you certainty. Now you want that. That's faith gives you certainty. That's what you're looking for. What it gives you is probabilities and possibilities. Oh, and by the way, if this is long, I'll probably chop it up into segments, like 15-minute segments, and see if I can remember what I was talking about, or go over the video so I know what I was talking about for highlights. That's sometimes where the reintroductions come in. Also, people can make reintroductions. So I let them know who I am and do something funny. A monitor. Well, yeah, I'm playing a monitor. It's called a computer monitor. They're kind of necessary for this because you have to view things. No, that's not the kind of monitor they have in this game. It's kind of like a map system for that. So, science does not give you certainty, it gives you probabilities and possibilities, and that's based upon observation. You observe things, you see them occur, you watch and you see patterns, alright, and based upon those patterns you experiment, you form a theory, or not a theory, you form a hypothesis, and actually that's something I wanted to mention. People often use the term theory when what they really mean is the term hypothesis. It's basically an educated guess. Really, the word theory, even though people don't use it that way, shouldn't be used unless you're talking about something for which you've actually experimented with it, you've had repeated facts that back it up, you've gone through cycles of understanding, and once it's got a lot of backup and concepts behind it, facts that upon which it's solid, not to say a hypothesis isn't based on facts, it can be, then it eventually graduates into a theory. It doesn't really start out that way, and that doesn't mean that it's, permanent. It still has to go through, the openness to other concepts. And that's another thing you'll learn, is that you're always open to new information. So things can always change, because you can always find new information that proves that what you were doing before wasn't quite right. And that's just life. That's just science and observation. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people don't like that. What they want is certainty. Science doesn't give you that. Like I said, even things like, you can go and look at, white swans outside, and you can observe, swans being white for decades and decades, and you might form the hypothesis that all swans are white, and you film them, and you record them, and you see them going on, and you never see that disproven, but all it takes is that one black swan that you don't, that you didn't observe, just observe that one moment to demonstrate that that hypothesis is incorrect, just the one. All right? Again, that is life. That is, being honest. And I think that's something that people don't like a lot. They want certainty, even if it's kind of an illusion in their mind. And that's fine. If that's what you want, that's fine. But, you have to learn by being open to different possibilities. You have to learn by being wrong, basically. You have to have been incorrect about something. If there's not a possibility of being wrong, then, how is there a possibility of being right? And that's something that science talks about, the concept of testable claims. Things have to be just that, testable. If something can never be wrong, well, it's not really testable, and you can't really learn anything from it. And again, that's life. That's being honest about things. So, that's one of the things you're going to get here on my channel is honesty. I'll be an honest person, even when I'm being intelligent anal cavity or an intelligent gluteus maximus. Wise ass. In case you're wondering, this is how I get around censorship, is by saying things like, if I agree with you, I'll say absence of feces, and hopefully you can figure out what that is. Absence of feces. Yes, I will. Somebody will say something I agree with because it's obvious, and I'll go, absence of feces, and they'll be like, what? And they don't quite get it. And I'm like, just kind of think about it in your mind. You'll get it in a moment. So anyway, off to grinding this character. I kind of already know some of the storyline, so I'm not completely unfamiliar with this. I'm not playing it completely blind, but it's been a while, so I'm not going to know everything. I know one of the first parts you have to do to this is to, there's a guy with a boat to the south, but he won't let you sail on a ship unless you've got a cyborg with you. And so you have to go find a cyborg, which a guy makes a note about a woman who never blinks, and of course because she's a cyborg. So yeah, hopefully you get that, in sciences about how, it's all about honesty, and these games are all about honesty. You gotta be honestly having fun with them, you gotta be honestly, interacting with the people, and please, come in and ask me questions, I would love to hear them. It's funny, a guy talks about how you can find the woman that never blinks in the northeast forest. I'm like looking on the map. Where is there a forest? I just don't quite see it. Who knows? Oh well. Northeast of that island, because I know it's island where the guy talks about it. Okay, first fight, open ambush, so hopefully I can survive this. Hopefully my character. It's not me. This is, you know, a fantasy. It's not real. So, you know, there's no way that it's actually it's the character. But I'll probably talk as though it's me. Who is currently playing as Prince Riss. Or Reese or Rice, I don't know, because English is not one of those languages where the pronunciation key is built into the spellings of the words as it is with other languages, like from what I've heard, Icelandic or Norwegian, or even if it's a Korean. Oh, and there are going to be times when I don't talk and whatnot. I'm just doing this because, like I said, it's kind of things where, hey, you could, you know, listen to me and hopefully learn about science and like that. I can help you study and whatnot. You know, in kind of a soft way. This is kind of soft studying. So anyway, one of the things that you know, comes up in sciences is learning a system of measurements, because you have to be able to measure things. That's part of, you know, forming a hypothesis and being able to test it. In order to test something, you have to be able to measure it. Things have to be testable. They have to be, you know, potentially wrong and potentially right. So again, that's life. That's how things work. Alright, so medical clinics and cure the poison. I know I could get the diamate and trimate, which are like, you know, the healing stuff that I can buy at the item shop, but I'm just sort of exploring this out. So, you know, when you're measuring things, one of the things you learn is you learn about this metric system. Everything in sort of this same way of handling things. And, you know, that's not a bad thing. You know, we all speak different languages, and it can be tough to comprehend one another if we all, you know, speak and say things in different ways. So the idea was to all develop sort of a similar language of speaking. Now that doesn't mean things are all going to be, you know, documented in just one language. Because obviously you can read, you know, primary sources and things that you analyze. Oh, and I hope you don't mind, I do have a background as a teacher. Hopefully you're liking this as a teacher. Hopefully it's, you know, funny enough for you. You can get a chuckle or two out of you. Sometimes I do this in silly voices to get a chuckle or two out of people. It gets people interested in what you're talking about, more that sort of thing. So they're not completely bored of the system and they get a laugh or two. Hey, and I can do Mario too. That's what to do, because this is best one of the games. Link doesn't have a silly voice, so if I do, like, you know, Link, he's not going to have a voice. I don't know, maybe he would sound like a little boy. Kind of like this sort of sound. I don't quite get, you know, which one it would work for. Pardon. Yes, this is me and my silliness. Again, it's all to get you to know, show you the interested. So this isn't just some boring thing on the way around. You've got to have some interest. So it's not all so terrible. You like it? Oh, and if anybody's offended by those, please just, you know, I mean, I don't have to. Become a watcher. I'll probably put up stuff for, you know, you to donate. That would be nice, so I can get. I need to do this on a better computer so I can have a better connection. Although, oddly enough, I seem to have figured out a way to get a pretty good connection. This is lasting for like almost 15 minutes, and I haven't had a break, and that's new to me. Yeah, I gotta have to grind this guy up a little bit. So anyway, as I was saying, when it comes to the sciences, you all kind of learn the same language of speaking. There was a guy, Linnaeus, you know, people from biology, and he developed this system of talking about animals, where he put them into, you know, different categories, because he recognized that, you know, animals, you know, had similarities, you know, physically, genetically, and stuff like that. And so he talked about